Hello.
Hello, is this Michael?
It is.
Hey, Michael, this is Dustin Wilmus from KMSU Radio. How you doing?
Good, Dustin. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for agreeing to be on with us today. I'm here with my co-host, Ton.
Hey.
Okay. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, Michael, how you doing? I'm good.
Good.
So if you're ready to go, we'll go ahead and get started here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Excellent. All right, so you play trombone. A lot of kids end up, like, they get assigned an instrument or something, or their mother chooses it for them. I know that happened to me in 6th grade. What was it for you? Did you get to choose this instrument? Did you have anybody that you loved? How did you start playing the trombone?
Well, I didn't start on trombone, so that's I was, I don't know if I can't recall if I actually chose where I started, but I started on trumpet, and somehow got switched to euphonium fairly quickly, actually in 5th grade. So I was a little kid toting around a huge euphonium case on the bus, and I think it might have been an embouchure thing. I think the teacher may have recognized that my embouchure. I don't think I had a good trumpet embouchure. It was a little. I think it was a lot like what's his name? Herb Alpert's embouchure. It was kind of down, and it wasn't a real strong embouchure. I mean, he had a lot of money playing music, but he wasn't known for his strong embouchure. And so I played euphonium for a while, and in concert band in junior high school. And the band director in junior high school was a really incredible musician. Played all the instruments. Actually, even built his own instruments, and he was a really big Dixieland fan, and he had a huge library of watered-down Dixieland music. And in my junior high school, there was no jazz band. It was the Dixie band was the jazz band. I think there just wasn't a deep enough pool of players to have a larger band, or our band director maybe just didn't like big band music as much. But he encouraged me to pick up trombone one summer because the 8th grade came around when the top players got to play in that group. He didn't really have a strong trombone player, so I picked up trombone over the summer and started playing that in the Dixie band. And when I went to high school, I switched over to trombone full time. So that was kind of the trip I took to get to trombone.
Can you tell us a bit about some of your early work? I know you played with the Minnesota Vikings. Or were you just kind of playing around locally when you started out?
Yeah, I went. I had a couple of years of college. I went to Concordia Moorhead for 1 year, and then I transferred to Lawrence Conservatory of Music for my sophomore year. Worked with Fred Sturm, which was really a wonderful experience. And then basically ran out of money, and so I moved to the Twin Cities, where all three of my sisters had migrated. I'm originally from Wausau, Wisconsin, and I figured I'd take a year off from college, and basically I ended up just staying here. I got into the scene. I actually worked with Steve Wright fairly quickly in my first year when I got here. He's a fine trumpet player. He was the teacher at Gustavus for many years, but before that he was really the top call trumpet player in town studio, and he had a big band. And so I did a few things with him, and then I went on the road with a lounge band that played Holiday Inn stuff for a while. Came back and just worked my way into the scene, and the Vikings band was one of the early things I did, and actually did a lot of writing for that band too. That was something that I really built up my writing chops. Between that and the nightclub called Rupert's, which was out on 394 and 100, which had a live band. I did several charts a week for that band for many years, and did a lot of transcribing and writing of stuff, and then just kind of worked my way into the scene, doing jingle work and playing shows. I played back when the Carlton Celebrity Room was out where the Mall of America is now. They brought in a lot of shows. I played Sammy Davis Jr. out there, and Joan Rivers and all sorts of shows, and played some Broadway shows as well. So that pretty typical freelance career for the Twin Cities, just like really all the guys in the Hornheads, kind of similar college and working into the scene kind of thing.
So then, obviously, eventually you wound up working with Prince. Did he just hear of you from doing a lot of these local gigs, or how did that wind up?
He didn't hear of us directly, and the Hornheads, did form as a section to play with Prince. But that came out of working with, doing a lot of little side projects with different people, and Steve Strand and I and Brian Gallagher, tenor sax player, had done some stuff for a young phenom drummer who was working his way up in the Twin Cities named Michael Bland, and I in fact had just done a little horn session for him for some little project he was working on for no money. We just, it was just kind of a fun little thing to do. And at some point, Prince picked up Michael to play in the band, and he had been playing with Prince for, I'm not sure, maybe a year or two, I suppose. And when they were working on the Diamonds and Pearls tour, which in 91, 92, that was really one of Prince's big resurgence, that particular album. He decided he wanted a warm-up act for Michael, an instrumental. And Prince did a number of instrumental albums with Eric Leeds, his one of his sax players, playing Barry sax, and it's a group called Madhouse, and it was a very funky instrumental group with the Barry sax being the lead instrument. And I think his concept, my understanding was his concept was that it was going to be a Madhouse instrumental thing, but with a larger horn section. And so Michael called Brian and myself and Steve, and I added Dave and Kathy Jensen to the mix and wrote some 5-horn arrangements of that music. And Prince was not even in the country at the time we were rehearsing these, and I wrote the arrangements. We went out to Paisley Park and, ran the rehearsals with the band, and they sent off a recording to him. And then a week later, we got another, instruction to do a number of more tunes from that same Madhouse group. And so I did some more, went out there and recorded that. Then we got a call to go to this rehearsal, and it turned out it was it ended up being Carmen Electra's band, and Carmen Electra was the warm-up act on the first tour we went. So they videotaped us playing some of her music, although she wasn't there at the time, I don't believe. And the next thing you know, we were kind of thrown into the mix, and within a very short time, we were on a plane going to Japan and playing the Tokyo Dome and touring Japan and Australia. So wow. It was quite a whirlwind, and we did a whole bunch of recording as well. That the first time we actually played with Prince, we went out to Paisley Park, and he came in and just shook our hand, and then these Madhouse tunes were all just titled by the number of the track. And so the first album each track was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The songs were those titles. And so he just looked back and he held up 4 fingers, and the band immediately knew to break into the song 4. And we're scrambling for our charts, and we just started playing, and it was literally a 6-hour jam, 6 or 7 hours, a 20-minute break, and then he said, "Let's record," and we went in and recorded for another 5 hours. And so it was basically a 12-hour day, and we just walked out of there going, "What just happened?" And that happened a number of times, and then, like you said, the next thing you know, they were asking for our passports and stuff, and then we were rehearsing Carmen's show and Prince's show, and then we were on a plane. So yeah, and that was about the actual full-time work with him touring was about a 4-year job, but we still work with him to this day, and we've probably worked on. Well, I know I've done arrangements on 17 of his albums, plus a lot of side projects. So it's been a long, fruitful relationship.
So then, with recording with Prince, I mean, do you basically are you still just on call? Like at any moment, he could call up and book you for something?
Well, like at this point, like any musician, we're and the horn section, we're freelance. So yeah, I mean, if he wants something, he'll give us a call, and if we're available, we'll certainly do our best to make it happen. So, he works with a lot of different musicians, and we're just one of the group of people he calls when he needs a certain thing. I've also produced quite a number of string sessions for him as well. And we play with a lot of different people now, and the Hornheads are, while that Prince association in those early years was really something that was almost like a music boot camp, and really whipped us into shape as a section. We've been playing together for 20 plus years now, and the Hornhead sound, the music you're going to hear at the concert at the Cato this weekend is really, while it came out of the Prince world, because we used to rehearse our horn parts without him, and just to stay tight when he was off doing something else, and we were still on payroll. We'd just get together and run our parts. I just love the sound of that horns alone, and so I started writing music for that. And because we are probably more our music upbringing is rooted more in jazz than it is in pop music, I started writing music like that for the group. And we broke off and started doing performing arts series and jazz festivals and things like that. And that's the things that we do more concert wise when we travel. It's really a kind of a contemporary horn section doing kind of a version of what a brass quintet would do. No rhythm section and self-contained, but a very different sound than really any other group.
So you mentioned obviously performing on 17 of Prince's albums, and I know you guys did a lot of the other side projects out of Paisley, the Carmen Electra you mentioned, and Chaka Khan and all these other things. So are you writing and arranging all this stuff, or is Prince kind of saying, hey, I want it to sound like this, and you have to mold it, or how does that process work?
I could probably write a thesis on the process.
Maybe just the abridged version. Then,
yeah, well, and then if I wrote it, who knows what kind of legal trouble I get into. But I mean, the short answer is every version of the process that you could imagine we probably did. It's not one way. I mean, some of it is my arrangement start to finish. Some of it is him literally just sitting there and dictating notes and chords and individual parts to us. More often than not, it was I'd get a version of it with synth horns on it, where he had played his kind of his classic analog synth sound, and he had some stuff dictated on it, and I would transcribe that and alter it or revoice it, and then put in anything I thought might be an added bonus to it, and he would take that and do what he wanted with it. But it was there were just so many different ways that music came together, and it was really an amazing learning experience, and opened up my mind to just so many different possibilities of how to create music, and it was just really a lot of fun, really amazing.
So you mentioned being on the payroll. So are you guys recording, I assume, like just tons of stuff and throwing it in the vaults that we hear about for future use, or?
There are many tracks that probably I don't know. I can't speak for him. I don't know what his plans are for that, but many that never came out. Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and obviously you guys are coming to Mankato Saturday at the Cato Ballroom. Can you kind of explain to the listeners, maybe the Hornheads? I mean, obviously people know of Prince, but maybe they don't know exactly, what you guys are all about, or what they can expect at the show.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think really the Hornheads, the things that we do, the concerts we do for Jazz Fests and Performing Arts Series, really doesn't have anything directly to do with Prince. I mean, we have a history with him, and there was a certain thing we did with him, but this music is like I said before, is really came out of my love for the sound of this horn section without any rhythm section or anything else going on. And when we first started to go out on our own and kind of realized that this sound really had a audience and was a unique thing that we could do, I put together, I picked 4 of my favorite American composers, Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, Leonard Bernstein, and Stevie Wonder, and I wrote medleys of each of their songs, and I used these 4 composers to anchor our concert set. And it's kind of a twofold reason. One is, I mean, just some of the best music that's ever been written has been written by those composers. But also, because the Hornheads is kind of a unique listening experience, I wanted to be able to give the audience kind of an anchor for what they're trying to process, because there is no rhythm section up there. There's no drums, there's no bass, there's no piano, there's no singer, there's no lyrics, and so it's a instrumental group, and it takes a little fine tuning to go, okay, I see how this music comes together, and it's a really exciting group with some really virtuosic soloists like Kenny Holman, who I believe was out at Mankato last week at the Jazz Fest, and Kathy Jensen, our alto and Barry player, and so I put that music together and then brought in some other songs that I think people will recognize, like Sweet Georgia Brown, and then there's quite a number of originals, Hornhead originals, that really feature the players. And my concept, one of the things I loved about Duke Ellington's music and what I read about him is, as well as he really, with his band, and his band was together pretty much with the same personnel for 50 years. And the guys loved playing with Duke because he really wrote to each of their individual talents. And if you listen to Duke Ellington's music, it's the players are so unique, and they clearly are giving their own voice to his music. And so with the talents I have in the group, besides Dave and Kathy, of course, Steve Strand on trumpet and Dave Jensen on trumpet, I just have a lot of really unique talents to draw from, and I wrote the music to give each of them, kind of a voice in this small group. And so there'll be a lot of interesting solos and interesting arrangements of a group that is really pretty unique in the music world. Still, there have been quite a few colleges that have put together little hornhead groups, and I know a lot of the military bands have gotten arrangements from me as well. But it's kind of like I said, it's kind of a unique deal that I think people will really enjoy, and I think it's really great that the Mankato Symphony is doing this pop jazz series. It's a really neat thing to bring to the town.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be an awesome show, and I think it's great you guys mentioned you don't have a rhythm section, there's no drums or bass, but still you guys managed to have a groove, and it's funky. I think it's going to be awesome. Do you guys have a new music coming out? I know it's been a while since the last Hornheads album.
Yeah, one of the problems with the Hornheads is everybody is so busy doing different projects, and for that matter, we're busy as a horn section working on other people's projects. This past year, we did an album for a group in Russia. We worked on an album with a guy from London, and we've done stuff. We did a track for a guy in Mumbai a couple of years ago for a Bollywood thing, and with jingles and people traveling and doing separate things. I play lead trombone for Doc Severinsen for his big band now, and some of his symphony shows as well. And my girlfriend is his pianist, so we travel once in a while with him, and so everybody has a lot of things going on. So it's really hard to kind of get everybody together. And we did start. I have a bunch of music. I have a lot of music recorded. We're ready to record, and we finally got together last fall or end of summer and recorded about half of an album. Had planned to do the rest of it in December, and then everybody but me got called to play at a show at the Ordway for all of December. So, that just happens, and it kind of the timetable shifts, and so we'll get back to that, sometime very soon. But there's nothing coming out as far as a new album, the Hornheads, shortly. We have a bit to do yet. The music's written. We just got to record it.
Sure. Well, again, Michael, it's been great having you on. Again, the Hornheads coming to Mankato at the Cato Ballroom 7 o'clock this Saturday, and we're looking forward to seeing you there.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks
have a good
lot,
one.
Mike.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.